Hi, Orange Girl here, and this is a process video of my process for one little word. And my one little word for this year is the word light. And this is the second video in the process. And this is where I'm actually attempting to do well, I'm not just attempting, I am accomplishing the actual prompts that are included in the class. And in my first video, I made the title page that you see there to my left that says light. And now I'm working on defining my word, things that defining what I want to invite into my life this year, the things that I want to let go of. Um, and I'm also putting this in my book to document. So the one word light, all of these cards are cards that come in the kit. Some of them, I will admit, I am writing on for the second time, and I used the digital copies to print a second one because I messed up the first one. But that's okay. I'm using some stamps from the light kit. That is the story kit that Allie has, and I went ahead and stamped the word light from that, and I used a few other things. One thing that I plan to do in my the whole year, I hope to do a different quote each month. And so I'm taking a picture of it. I'm using my board to create it, and it's going to be my screensaver on my phone for the month, and then I'll do a new one. So these are from the light kit as well, and they are little suns, and I decided just to cut one in half and add that to the top and the bottom of this little card for a little decorative element. And then I am doing the Traveler's Notebook this year, and so if you want to see in my first video, I have that kind of set up, but you can put 3x8 page protectors in it, and so I'm going to use those. I did include a selfie photo. It's kind of a silly photo. I don't like to do selfies unless they're silly, and that's something I probably need to lighten up about a little bit this year, but this photo was taken on the very last day of January, and it was after I had come in from helping clear the snow. I was shoveling snow, and it was very cold and very wet, and I looked very silly until so I snapped a photo of myself. And then I used the digital files that are included in the kits. If you purchase the story kits, you get the digital files if you purchase both the kit and the stamp set, which I do. And so there was a digital stamp that I stamped on my photo, and it says, "Some days you just have to create your own sunshine," which just kind of fit January literally because of the weather. So now I'm just going to add a few elements. So I decided to use the chipboard, a piece of chipboard that says "Be the Light," that's from the light kit, and add that to my title page. And then I put those, I'll come back to those cards later. Now I'm going to work on kind of the deeper part of the prompt a little bit, and I'm going to document that here. So what I did my handwriting on some things, but on the longer prompts, I've decided that at least for this month, I'm going to go ahead and use my computer to set it up and type it up because I can just get more content on the page if I type it. So I'm using some paper from Heidi Swapp's most recent collection. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Color Shine or something with color in it. And I cut the piece of paper to 8 1/4, which is the height, and then a little bit less than that, like a quarter, maybe a half an inch. So like maybe instead of 8 1/4, it's probably 7 3/4 the other way, which is the same size as I set up my paper to print on from my printer. And I used Photoshop to do all of that typing. And that was so that I could make this little flip out. So I scored it at 4 1/4 inches, which is the size of most of the papers that I'm putting in my traveler's notebook. So 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. And so I scored it at 4 1/4 so that it would flip. And then, so the top part is not quite as big. So it's about a half an inch less. And then that way it can flip up and you can see the writing on the inside. That way it's a little bit hidden. I don't really care. I mean, I'm going to put photos on here and you can read what I wrote. It doesn't really matter. It's not a secret. I'm pretty much an open book. But if just anybody is reading and they don't feel comfortable reading the private parts, they don't have to read all of the private stuff. So then I'm just going ahead and adding a little bit of Heidi Swapp. Um, Same collection. That's from the 6x6 paper pad. I'll put another piece behind that. And then also I use some washi tape just to add a little bit of a decorative element. The card that I'm putting on the front of this is a card from the kit that says the best time for new beginnings is now. And I just took a 1/4 inch off each side just to make it a little bit smaller to fit on the cover of this little insert that I'm making. Now I'm just trying to figure out what my embellishments are going to be. And I was trying to decide if I wanted to go with butterflies or hearts, or even a star, if I wanted to use cork. What did I want to use? I found these little white hearts. They're super tiny and super cute. And I think they're from a past One Little Word kit, I think. I'm not sure. And I thought, oh, if I just add those little hearts on there, that is going to look adorable. And I just put 3 at the top and 1 at the bottom. And then I can put that little rubber January at the bottom like that. So that's my thought. I'm going to add that there. And since I used hearts here, I decided that I would put a heart on the inside as well. So the prompt is talking about, like, currently, how is the word already in your life, and then what do you want more of or less of, and and some things about things that you're afraid of and things that you are most excited about in regards to your word and this year. And so I added, so the things that are already part of my life, I wrote that there are people in my life that share their light every day. The children in my life give the best light, especially B. I know my light is still there. I need to focus on letting it shine more than a glimmer at a time. And then the more or less, I want more joy, less grief, more space, less stuff, more health, less anxiety, more positive, less negative. And then then I'm gonna, on the back here, I add a little bit more of that same Heidi Swapp paper, but now the stripes are going to be going the other way. I'm going to add that there to house my intentions. And my intentions are made up of physical, emotional, and I think relationships. And then there's just kind of a couple of general items that I want to bring into my life this year. So that's a little bit about what's on the inside. And then now I'm going to tackle, once I get January glued on there, I'm going to, I think, maybe tackle the cards, because I don't really like the way the cards are. So I just want to use one of the page protectors. So I went ahead and I cut the other one. You can see, like, I just cut the bottom half off, and I'm going to make a little flip out. The way I'm going to do that is I am lining it up against the other one like that, and I'm just going to use my machine to do some messy stitching along the one side. It's messy because that's the best way that I can do it, because I'm not very good at it. Plus, I like the look anyway. And then I'll just cut off that extra right there. And then the quote can go on the top to hide the more personal stuff. And then when you open it up, it talks about things that I want to invite into my life, like joy, space, health, positivity. And the things that I want to let go of, the things are like stuff, grief, weight, anxiety, and negativity. And so those, when you flip that up, you can see it. And then, unfortunately, I put one of the Avery labels in, and when I did that, it hits the ring. So I took it off. I was trying to salvage it, but I ended up having to use a new one, and I put it up a little bit higher. It still hits it a little bit, and so I solved that problem here in a second. I was going to have to use too many extra cards, and I decided that I didn't want to use all of those extra cards. So I thought the best option would be to create a flip up, and that way it hides some of the more personal journaling, but it also just makes it a little less bulky, less papers. So now what I'm doing is I'm working on the inside. So the other side of my title page, I needed to put something in there, and I wanted it to be just decorative. So I'm using some yellow, and I think it's Lawn Fawn, and then some kind of almost a red stays on and an orange stays on ink. And I am using a stamp that comes in the light kit, the light stamp kit, story stamps, and I'm putting them all over the page randomly. And I knew that I wanted to use one of these. I got a whole bunch of light bulbs from a light bulb flare from a flare for buttons. And I really wanted to use this red flare because it's the same color as my coat that is in that photograph that I took of myself, and that will be on the opposite page. And so it would kind of tie the two pages together a little bit. So I'm going to put some tangled thread, because that's what I do, behind my light bulb flare. Just going to glue that down, and then I will be pretty much done with this page with it. Oh no, I do add a couple of little things that make it even better. So what you're seeing me do there is I'm gluing down a couple of the ends so that they kind of go the way that I want them to go a little bit, just with a little dot of glue. So I went through my enamel dots and I found some oranges and some reds and some yellows that match the stamping fairly closely. And then I'm not going to put a center in each one of these little sunbursts. I am going to put it on some of them. And I kept going back and forth to my stash of enamel dots because I ended up either wanting more, or I didn't have quite the right color, or whatever, or enough of them. So I used a few orange, a few yellow, a few red, and I try to kind of spread them out across the page so that almost in a triangle of color. So like there's, a triangle of yellow, a triangle of red, a triangle of orange, but not quite. There's a few more than that. So, but I really like the way that page is, for being as simple as it is. I really like the way that it turned out. So this little sticker that I put on there says illuminate, which I think is just a wonderful, almost a companion word, although it's not really a companion word because it's almost the exact same meaning. But I really like that word. And so that's good. I think that will probably come up again. It has such a positive, to me anyway, such a positive connotation with it. So now what I'm doing is I applied a little bit of liquid glue where some of that stitching was, and then mostly I'm using just my regular Scotch glue, and then I'm cutting off. It wasn't quite the same size, and so I just cut it off a little bit, and now I'm just going to poke holes in it and it'll be ready to go, and that I'm going to call that done. Sorry, every time I pull out my paper punch, it's on my like tripod thing is on in the same area, and so I hit my camera. So sorry about that. Okay, so I think I just have like one or two more things to do here and I'm almost finished. So I am adding to the quote there, I am adding a little, I'm using the stamp, I think, that I got from One Little Word. It's one of the One Little Word products. It's a roller stamp, and it says make visible, because I thought this is a way, using my letterboard, I'm going to make my word visible every month. I'm going to use my letterboard to put the quote on it, take a picture of it. That's going to be the background on my phone, plus the letterboard will be up for the month. And then I'll do another one for the next month. So the one for this month was travel light, live light, spread light, be the light. And so I thought make visible was perfect for that little Avery label. So now I'm going to put another label on where my the year ahead and my intentions kind of are going, and it just says document, because I feel like this is like really the meat of what I am trying to do or trying to document. So inside there, I already read two parts of it. I can read the other parts. What do I fear most in the coming year is I fear loss. It's always about loss. Right now, high on the list is my mom. I feel like I am already mourning her, even though she's still here. I worry that my anxiety will not allow the light to enter my life again because the negative people in my life are currently winning. And then what am I most excited about is possibility. I've always been more positive than negative and more enthusiastic about life's possibilities and more all around happy. I know that is still inside me. I'm most excited about finding it again and letting my light shine. So, what I've been working on here is I'm going to add this little January that comes in the main kit. I'm going to add that as a little insert. It's just decorative, but then it's also going to house my reason why. When I sat down to kind of do these prompts, I did a lot of typing on my computer just to kind of write down my thoughts. And when I got to my reason why, there were really two things that kept coming up. And the two things seem quite simple, but to be honest, they're very complicated. So what I'm going to do here is I'm creating a little pocket. So I'm going to use that light card that came in the light kit as my back, and I'm going to use the January as my front. And I really want to use this Let's Do This card, but when I put it in there, you can't see the January. So then I was thinking I might use that other card that you see there, but you'll see how I end up doing it. So what I did is I took my 2-inch punch and I went ahead and I cut a little hole in the side, and then I stitched those two cards together. So you just saw the words come up there that say first attempt. I was working on using some of the stamps on the reason why card, like the word light, and some of the stamps really expressed what my thoughts were for my reason why. They can really be summed up in two things. Be the light. I want to be the light. I want to be positive. I want people to see the light when they look at me. And then my other reason why is really I need to lighten up. And so there in the light kit, there were two stamps. One says be the light and one says seriously lighten up. And I thought if I just use those two stamps, I could sum up really what my reason why is. So I'm using a piece of white cardstock. I stamped the word light. I cut out the word light from one of my other stamping attempts. And then I tack that down over the top of the word light and to act as a mask. The reason why stamp is from a previous, it might still be in the shop. I'm not really sure, but Allie sold that one year for one little word. I don't think it was this year, but it has all of the things. I decided since I was doing this a little different than the cards, I didn't need to print out the digital card. So I just went ahead and went with the easier option, which was just stamping reason why. And so now what I'm doing is I'm using those same inks, just the two of them, the yellow and the orange, and I'm wiping off my stamp a little bit in between, and I am going right over the reason why, and then I'm masking the word light so that stands out a little bit more, and what I'm stamping over and over and over in it's random color order. I'm not really doing any sort of pattern or anything. I'm using the stamp that says be the light. So I'm doing that over and over and over until I get to maybe right here. Yeah. So right here I'm stamping in orange, seriously lighten up. And then the rest of it is all be the light. And so that seriously lighten up kind of stands out a little bit because it's the only one like that. And then be the light is over and over. So really my reason why are those two things, and everything else that I've written about in the prompts can be tied back to that. So if you remember, I wanted to use the Let's Do This card, and so while I'm going through showing you some of the still photos, you will see that I end up adding the reason why face up so that I can add, because you can still see the word January, and then I added the Let's Do This card to the back. And so that ended up working out really, really well. So there's a few more close-ups here that are going to come through. And then at the very end of this video, there is about a 30-second walkthrough of the entire album. So you can see how when you turn the pages and how the flip-ups work and all of that kind of stuff. Thanks so much for stopping by and sharing in my documentation of One Little Word this year, and hopefully I will see you in future videos. Thanks a lot.